Good morning, team.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Sure, sure. We'll reclaim it. Okay, cool. We will wait for a few minutes until the other people are joining. Then maybe we can proceed in next 2 to 3 minutes. Yep. So by that time, um, I see few of them who have joined new to this. Uh, Okay, so the primary aim of this course is just to give you an idea, a small idea or high level idea is the primary aim of this course is for people who already know reporting experience, right? Who have an understanding of Power BI, who have an understanding of the data perspective of Power BI, maybe SQL or different data sources which we use it to connect to Power BI. So that's the primary aim. At some point of time, there would be a need to learn cloud. Now, at some point in the sense, I've been trying to say this line since last 3 years, but since 22, or maybe you can consider 21 itself, we are in the field, we are in the current world where there is nothing except cloud. Whatever you are viewing around you is all coming from cloud only, right? So that's the reason we have included this cloud. I mean, since last 2 or 3 years, we have this cloud as an additional session along with the Power BI. So whomsoever has an experience with respect to Power BI, yeah, this is for them. We would discuss in detail why there is a need, how do we interpret the cloud, where do we use it. That's the primary aim. Yep. So that's all what we will be discussing for next 1 hour, probably 45 minutes to 1 hour. And then maybe if you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask. But by the time we still have 2 or 3 more minutes to get started. Anyone who is new, who would like to know some idea, get some idea about this, maybe you are free to ask.
Hi Ritesh.
Hey, Akash, go ahead.
I have started this course from Power BI,
Hmm.
uh,
I know.
and SQL part is like pending for me.
Hmm.
So it is good to take continue with uh,
Yeah.
Fabric or
Yes, yes. Okay, maybe to answer it, that's how we designed, right? People who join with SQL, they go through SQL, they go through Power BI, they go through Azure. People who join with Power BI, the Power BI reporting, for them, see, primary thing is you should know Power BI rather than SQL. You can learn SQL next to this. Once this is done, the Azure sessions are done, immediately, maybe in 1 or 2 weeks, we would start the SQL sessions. So there won't be a big gap. So it's good to have continuity with uh, Power BI along with this Fabric or ADF sessions, right? Moreover, our focus would be more on the data transformations inside this cloud. We have services. Now, what services mean? What do we use it? That we would anyways discuss. But yeah, continuity will not have a any pause or hamper on your understanding with respect to SQL. Hmm. Any other one who have joined new to this? Maybe they would like to get some idea.
This is Santosh. Actually, I'm having a 4 years experience.
Okay, here's a
So,
Polish. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to learn Fabric and ADF.
Okay.
So,
So, see, assumption. What I've been trying to say at the start, I assume that you already know Power BI good enough that you're working inside this Power BI, or maybe you use Power BI on day-to-day basis. That's what we assume.
yes,
Only then we suggest this course for them.
yeah.
And I mean, all 4 years into Power BI, or how are you looking
No,
into
Power
this?
BI. Actually, I learned from Santosh only last 3 years back. I got a job as a Power BI.
Okay, okay. Mhm.
Actually, I have overall 18 years, but after 4 years from non-IT to I switched non-IT to IT.
Okay, okay, cool, got it. Mhm.
Now
Yeah,
I
I
need to
mean,
upskill
this is
because
for you.
only Power BI it is not enough in the project.
Yes.
So they are asking Azure nowadays Fabric things,
Yep.
latest tools.
See, it's not with respect to Power BI. If you consider any tech stack now, if you are considering tech stack also, or if you are considering in the current situation or the current discussion what we are doing, you are connected from somewhere in India. I'm connected from some other part of India. We are all connected via certain application. That application is based out of cloud. So whichever, I mean, what you see surround you with respect to this IT, right? It's all based out of cloud. So Power BI, anyways, we have to learn. But along with that, additionally, there is this new introduction. I mean, new in the sense it's been 2 years, the Fabric, more than 2 years. But Fabric is evolving. Along with Fabric, there are some independent services in Azure also, which we need to have an idea. That's the primary aim of every company who is expecting to have the Power BI developer with them. We should also additionally know cloud services, more specific to the data transformation services, right? So that's what we are emphasizing more on these sessions into this ADF for Fabric.
Yeah, thanks. Then.
Okay, cool. Maybe it's 8:06. Let me start sharing my screen. Let me know once it is visible.
Hi, good morning, Ritesh.
Hey, morning, Sachin. Okay, just give me a second. Um, so as I've said, we would be starting with the Azure or cloud related sessions. Um, See, primary assumption, whosoever is joining with respect to these sessions, we already have our Power BI batch. That would be, anyways, the number of people would be forwarded to this batch. But along with that, whosoever is targeting, this is for specifically people who know reporting, people who know end-to-end Power BI. For them, only we suggest this course. So, good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to KSR Data Vision. Yep, maybe we would directly jump to certain scenario where do we discuss why there is a need and the need of cloud. The most important part is why we have to understand why the cloud is required. And now every aspect which you are trying to see is all based out of cloud, right? So how do we relate that? How do we relate it with reporting, right? So if I try to take an example, maybe a student who is in schooling days or maybe college days, maybe schooling days, right? So if you go back to your schooling days, maybe most of you who are almost 5, 6 years back, you were in school, or maybe prior to that, you were in school. The trend of IT, right? Maybe post COVID, most of them have moved from normal books to all online books, right? All YouTube, the live sessions, or maybe even YouTube was there prior to COVID, but the way of movement, that shift happened post 2020, the drastic shift happened. So if you see any schooling students now also, the number of books which they read is limited. They always have that online books. So if you consider your schooling days also in current world, maybe if a person is in school, and if we, I mean, if you assume you were in school, there is a drastic difference now, right? Now, what that drastic difference is, we used to have all our physical books, we used to write notes. Now, that notes concept is still there, but the amount of notes which a student takes now is totally different. Everyone is based out of some display. They have that screen, they have a tab, or they have a mobile, they try to consume all the data from the mobile. So if you're trying to consume any data from the mobile, somewhere you're connecting to some application. Now that application is coming from some other part of the world. Maybe it is based in some other part of the world. So how do we connect to that application? That application is always based out of cloud. Any application you try to take, maybe all your mobile apps, any mobile app, if you're trying to connect to any specific website also, all that websites are based out of cloud, because from any part of world you can access that website and access that data, right? So if you're considering your education system today and our education, maybe if you go back few years back, the one who are not fresher, people have passed out engineering, who have passed out some degree 5 6 years back. If you go to that particular days, pre-COVID or even 2015 2010 era, that specific decade, all our notes were all physical. We used to write a lot, we used to consume notebooks a lot, but nowadays everything is online. So if you're considering education system, yeah, it is based out of cloud. Now that same person, that same boy, he has graduated, maybe some degree, engineering or any technical degree or any non-tech degree, accepted. But if he has graduated at certain point of time, he's trying to take certain, I mean, anyone who graduates, right, he will get that convocation certificate. Now, convocation certificate, okay, but how once that person is graduated, how the results are displayed, right? You get results from certain website. Earlier, people used to display the results. It used to be from a certain school or a college only. They used to visit that school or college and they used to check their marks, their percentage. But since last few years, or maybe since few decades also, you can say 10 15 years, everything is published online. Nowadays, you can access that result from any part of the world. Anywhere, if you're on your mobile also, if you're online on your mobile, you can visit a website, enter your credentials, and you can check your marks, right? So even that system, the marks displaying system, is also online, and that is based out of cloud, because anyone can connect from any part of the world. So if that same person is also getting graduated, the proof of graduation is also based out of cloud. He will get all the details, including nowadays even convocation certificates, for namesake, they are having that convocation ceremony. But almost all the convocation ceremonies are all virtual now. Maybe including the certificate which is delivered to you, even it is virtual, it is all cloud based. But that same person is trying to purchase something, maybe a mobile or a tab device, right? Maybe he has got a new job, he's into a new job. See, whatever that particular person is surrounding, all his surrounding is with respect to cloud. Somewhere he is connected to cloud. Now, this is a very small example that how the future would be if we are considering anything which is related to us, which we use, the technical or the technology devices which we use nowadays is all based out of cloud, including your TVs, right? Earlier, people used to have these normal TVs. Nowadays, it's all smart TVs, right? So how do you connect to that smart TV, right? We have that remote, we have an internet connection. So at some point of time, if you're using any application on your TVs, also it's all based out of cloud, right? It's like you can access YouTube, you can access any streaming applications there, right? So that's how whichever tech stack, whichever technology device which you're using nowadays, it's all connected to internet. And if it is connected to internet, at some point of time, we would use an application that is based out of cloud. So cloud is everywhere. You take any technology, you take any technical device, you take any tech stack which you see around you, is all based out of cloud. The one which we are also communicating, the Zoom application, is also based out of cloud. Somewhere our recording is stored, right? You can again come back and check this recording. So where that recording is stored, storage is also based out of cloud. Cloud can access live data. Cloud can store some historical data. Cloud can have some future data also. It can predict some information as well. So cloud is so vast that there are many applications which can be processed, which can be dumped into cloud. Now, this is mere a small example which you have considered. Let's try to take one more example. Now, how many of you have a good mobile? A good in the sense, you have that Apple, you have the Samsung S24 Ultra or S25 Ultra. Nowadays, S25 is in the market, right? So how many of you own that device of 1 TB? Anyone with 1 TB storage size?
1 TB is yet to purchase. 256 GB.
But let's consider I have a mobile. Now I have a S24 Ultra. Maybe I also have an Apple device, Apple, iPhone. So if you're considering this, See, there are devices which are available in market with 1 TB storage. Now, it's a very rare sight that even if it's 1 TB at some point of time, the quality, the image, whatever the pictures we try to click in this mobile, at certain point of time, even 1 TB is not sufficient. Maybe if you are an active photographer, right? Nowadays, photographers use mobile also. You can attach some additional lens to this mobile. They can capture the images with the mobile as well, or they can capture with certain additional lens which are attached to this premium phones. So at certain point of time, 1 TB has a limit, right? If you're crossing that limit of 1 TB, you have to add one more TB. So would you add an additional storage or would you purchase one more mobile? There are options. 1 TB, yes, I had a 1 TB device, either Samsung or either iPhone. But I'm an active photographer, I have a good amount of photos in it. 1 TB is not sufficient for me. At certain point of time, would you add an additional device? Would you purchase an additional device or would you add a additional storage to this? What is recommended?
Go for additional storage device.
Maybe additional storage in the sense we try to add some memory card or maybe we try to connect it to some storage component, right? Maybe hard disk, something related to storage component. But even if that storage component, now I've taken an image of the SD cards, memory cards, micro SD cards. How to maintain this SD card is also very difficult. Now, they are hard enough, accepted, but even if they are hard and tough, at certain point, if they have that contact with the water, the surrounding air, even your SD card gets corrupted. Managing that SD card is also very difficult. So you may not purchase an additional device, that is for sure, right? If I want to have one more TB, you may not purchase additional device. Again, if I want to have one more TB, you will not purchase. Either you will go with SD card or either you will go with some hard disk. You can connect the hard disk to mobile also nowadays with that pin, right? We have that C-type pin, we can connect it to it. But recommended is people doesn't purchase additional device. They'll use that same device. Whatever data is present in that device, they transfer it to some storage. But accepted, you are transferring it to storage. You need to maintain that storage as well, right? Physically, that storage is not getting corrupted. You have to save it. You have to place it at some safe place. But what cloud gives us a flexibility is the only thing what I've changed. I'm not purchasing any device. Neither I am looking out for any additional storage. What I am looking is I am looking for a cloud connection. Assume that the same SD cards, what I have here, I will push this information to cloud. Now, cloud can have a separate storage, right? You can have cloud has many services. Storage is one of the services. And this is one of the most widely used service in cloud, storage. You dump any data to cloud, you can manage it, you can access it from any part of the world. Maintaining SD card is difficult. Yeah, you may have certain, you have to maintain all that 1 TB of data additional, right? So
But
how many?
isn't SD card is cheaper than the online storage?
Yeah, it is very cheaper, accepted, but there is a difference, right? You have to maintain this. And if the data gets corrupted in this SD card, if the data gets corrupted, see, there is a guarantee that if you store a data on cloud, if your data is getting corrupted, they have that option to recall that data. They'll restore it that data. Everything you can easily restore. But you cannot restore the data in memory card very easily. You can restore, but at certain point of time, you may lose certain data as well. It is cheaper. Now, cheaper in the sense it's not that cheaper. Nowadays, cloud services are giving you a very good option. Even if you want to purchase, say 1 TB, they will take around some 2,000 rupees per year. But you can access it from any part of the world, right? You may need not attach it to your device also. from internet, you can access it from any part of the world. So benefit is nowadays everyone is moving out of that physical devices, physical storages to virtual storage. Storage is the most important service which is available based out of cloud. Apart from storage, there are many other services, but what is the most important part is for any application which you use, end of the day, there is some data. That data needs storage. Storage means you have to access it. How do you access it? Either you access it physically or either you access it virtually. Physically, in the sense, you have to attach that storage device and access it. Virtually, in the sense, you can connect it to internet and you can access it from any part of the world. So if options are given, why to connect a device, why to maintain, at certain point of time, if there is a limited data you can use, maybe I only want to have 1 TB of storage, you can use a memory card. But if the storage increases, you have to access that data frequently, you have to switch to cloud. Everyone recommends cloud because it's easy to connect, easy to maintain, and our data is more safe as compared to safe in the sense there is a very rare chance that the data might get corrupted, and even if it gets, you can easily restore it. You have that option in cloud. That that option which is restoring, it is not easily available in any physical device or any physical storage. So that's the reason people are moving to cloud. There would be a trend, there would be a shift in next 5 years also, that everything which you see related to physical storages will also move to cloud. So that's how the cloud is taking over the market. Right? So to continue this, where and how that cloud benefits. Now, we have seen very small benefits, or we have just done a comparison that, okay, you can access it, we can restore the data if something goes wrong, and maybe we can easily maintain it, right? We may need not carry so many devices, so many storage devices additionally, right? The more the storage, more would be the number of devices. You have to connect it multiple times. You have to check whether the data is present or not. That is not in cloud. You can access it very easily, right? You can create folders, all that partitions can be done in the cloud. So that's the importance of a cloud. Now, if you try to consider this 3 terabytes, yeah, it is costlier in cloud. But if you go back minus 5 years, the costing of 3 terabytes minus 5 years and costing of 3 terabyte now, there is a drastic difference. It is more cheaper now. The cloud is more cheaper now. Earlier, it was more costlier because even the cloud services are enhancing their, whatever connectivity they have different storage options also. They are enhancing them, right? So if any device is launched into this market, it would take some time. So cloud is launched almost 10 years back, but since last 10 years, the cloud has evolved, and what we were paying 5 years back, it is not the case now. We are paying way more cheaper. You have many competitive clouds also, right? Earlier, there were only few clouds which are available in the market, but now every cloud competitor is competing with the other company, that we want to give you the best service. We want to give you the best pricing as well. So there are many options, there are many ways, right? So let's try to continue, right? What we would like. So just prior jumping, this is my experience. Who am I? Maybe already many of you know who have joined with SQL or Power BI. Just to give you myself, Ritesh, I have 7 plus, or maybe I'll make it to 8. I have 8 years of experience, and I am working with Microsoft, right? So I'm working as a data engineer and working as a data analytics team lead also. So I have a different track. I work in different tracks here in Microsoft. That's my primary expertise. Any questions if you have with respect to what we would be discussing, you can park your questions at the end of the session. I'll be able to answer it way more clear, right? So just to jump ahead, what the role of the data analyst is. Maybe many of you have seen this diagram many times, but if you try to see this diagrammatic representation as a data analyst, our most focus would be here, visualization, right? So what data analyst does, we try to create dashboards, we try to create scorecards or reports. At certain point of time, there is, okay, we try to create that reports or visualization, but prior to that, we have to connect to different data sources also. We have to connect to different data sources. So what all data sources we may connect? Nowadays, on-premise data sources, that means your local storages, are very limited. We try to connect to many applications which are coming out of cloud, right? So you take any example, maybe if you are trying to take any ERP tool, enterprise resource planning tool like SAP, we have Oracle, we have many other tools which are available in market. So if you consider that tools, if you would like to connect to SAP or if you would like to connect to Oracle, how do you connect? Even these tools are based out of cloud. You can access it from any part of the world and you can connect it to Power BI via certain connectors. That connectors are also based out of, because the data source itself is coming from a cloud. You consider any databases, any particular database, SQL Server or your Oracle database, your Postgre, all your SQL databases are coming from a cloud. On-premises databases are very limited now. If you minus 10 years, if you go back a decade earlier, on-premise databases were more. Cloud databases were very limited because cloud doesn't have that good market presence. But since last decade, everything has moved out to cloud, including your databases, including your relational database management systems. So if you are considering to connect data to Power BI, that data itself is coming from a cloud. Accepted. We may connect cloud. Maybe if you're trying to access data from an Excel also, right? Nowadays, Excel is also coming from a SharePoint. So where that SharePoint is placed on cloud. It's a Microsoft M365 app service. So it's based out of cloud. You can access that SharePoint folder from any part of the world. And anyone can connect to it, right? Anyone can edit it, anyone can update it. Why? Because you have full authority, because it is based out of cloud. Anyone can connect. But at certain point of time, even if you connect, accept it that if the source is coming from a cloud, all that source data, if you're pushing it to Power BI, the performance of Power BI will be slower. For sure, at point of time, the performance of Power BI would be slower. Why? Because you're pushing all the data to Power BI. Now, there are different connectivity modes in Power BI. If you go back and recall, there is an import mode, there is a direct query, there is a live connection. Now, live connection is the sense you have to create a model separately. And where do you create a model? You try to create a model in somewhere, a different application. Even that application is coming from a cloud. Forget about that application. You created a report. You created a Power BI report. You want to share that report. Where do you publish that report? You publish it to the Power BI service. What is this service? Power BI service is a cloud service. Because anyone can log in within that domain, can log into that workspace if he has an access, and he can check that report, right? So only the development of report is based out of on-premise. You have to physically develop that report. But getting the data from different sources is also cloud. Once you develop a report, also you are pushing that report or dashboard to cloud. So at some point of time, at starting, you have a cloud, and at the end also you have a cloud. Intermediate is where we are developing our reports. Now, we have that 3 connection modes, right? Import, direct, and live connection. If you're connecting as an import, right, there are certain limitations in import. Limitations in the sense, if your data is crossing around 5 GB or 6 GB, Power BI report will slow down the performance. It will definitely work very slow. Why? Because the size is very high, right? The volume of data is very high. So how do you manage this 5-6 GB of data? You can break that report into multiple small reports. 1 GB of one data, one report, 1 GB of the another, 1 GB of a different report. We can have different reports. But how do you manage this 5 or 6 GB of data? It is not easy to manage this 5 GB, 6 GB of data in Power Query, right? It is not that easy. In order to manage that data also, we need to use some data transformations. So where do we use these data transformations? We use these data transformations which are coming from a cloud, a service which is called as ADF. ADF is the most widely used ETL service nowadays. There are many other ETL services like Informatica. Informatica is also based out of cloud. We have talent. Talent is also based out of cloud. Any ETL tool. Now, what is ETL? ETL is nothing but extracting the data from different data sources. T means transformation. You do data cleaning in between. And L means loading. It will be dumping the data to certain location like data warehouse or an additional SQL storage here. You can have two SQLs. One is the original source and this is the cleaned data. From this, you can connect it to Power. From the cleaned data, you can connect it to Power BI. So in order to manage this 5-6 GB of data also, Power Query will slow down the performance. You cannot manage that data using inbuilt query editor, which is available in Power BI. It is also an ETL tool, but you cannot easily manage that data, right? Because Power BI slows down the performance. So in order to manage that, you have to use some ETL. ETL is not based out of any on-premise system. It is coming from a cloud. And as and when we require, except report development, everything which you do in Power BI is all on cloud. Even your service, when you are connecting to different sources and when you're transforming a very large amount of data, you have to transform via cloud. So at any step, maybe prior to Power BI and after Power BI, everything is coming from cloud. Everything is related to cloud. Everything is connected to cloud. So that's the role of a cloud in data analyst. Right? So if you're considering any data analyst course, end of the day, cloud is the start and cloud is the end. The reason why we have to learn cloud. Now let's continue. Simple examples. How cloud is based out of. I mean, cloud has different architecture, right? We are just trying to understand how and what the cloud is. What is the architecture of a cloud? So this is just a small example that if you want to travel, you want to travel. So travel in the sense you will have your own car or else you can lease a car. So lease means you have to drive that car. Leased car means you have to drive that car. You are not taking any taxi or an Uber. You are just leased. Leased means you have to drive your car, or if you own your own car also, same. I'll take it as own car as well. So if your own vehicle or you are leasing a vehicle, you have full authority of that vehicle, right? You can drive it at whatever speed you want. You are the owner of that vehicle if you own that. Even if you are not owning, you are leasing that car. For a certain duration, you will be the owner because you are driving that car. So whichever location, wherever you want, you can stop. Wherever you want, you can start. Now, if you take it, if you compare it to taxi, you are not the owner of this vehicle, but as if you have that particular time duration that at whatever point I want to stop, I can stop, or at whatever point I want to start, I can start. But you are not driving that car. You are not owning that car. That asset is not owned by you. And at the last, if you're using any public service, I mean, the public service is public transport, right? So if you're using a bus, if you're using a metro, neither you are driving it, nor you have authority to own it. You're just utilizing that service. So a cloud has three different services or three different components. So what that components are, first component is infrastructure as a service, IaaS. It is called as infrastructure as a service. Now, what is infrastructure as a service? If you compare the same example, you are owner of that infrastructure. Now, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure means certain component. You are owner of that component, right? If it's a own car or even if it's a leased car, you are driving. You have full authority. You can take your decisions. So in case if it is infrastructure of a service, you get full authority. You get full access to that cloud. Now, if it's taxi, you're not the owner, but you have certain flexibility that you can maintain, or you can have that 7 hours duration or 8 hours duration up till what you can manage that as per your flexibility. you're taking a taxi, you want to move from one city to different city. If it's a 8-hour journey, for 8 hours, you may not act like a owner, but you are something, you have that grasp over that. Okay, I can stop that taxi at whatever point I want. I can maybe I can help, maybe I can say that driver to drive fast or drive slow. You can give commands, but you cannot own that application. That is called as platform as a service. You are not the owner, but you have certain flexibility for a certain time duration. That is called as platform as a service. You are getting a platform. You're not getting full infrastructure, but you are using that platform to have that ownership for a certain duration. Now, the last one is neither you are owner, neither you are managing anything. You're just using that service. That is called as software as a service. This is called as software as a service. You're just using that software, right? You're not owning anything. Here you are using platform. Here you are using software only. And this is complete infrastructure. You own that infrastructure if it's a own car or if it's a leased car. Because you are owner, you can drive, you can manage, you can maintain. In case of taxi, you're not driving, you're not maintaining, but you're getting a platform to make sure that, okay, at whatever point I would like, I can stop or I can start or I can increase the speed, I can decrease the speed. That platform you're getting. But in case of software as a service, you cannot go and ask your bus or a metro to drive fast, to stop at whatever place you want. They will stop at dedicated places only. So you're just using that software. You're not accessing, you're not managing anything. So these are the three different sub-components of a cloud. A cloud has three different sub-components. One is infrastructure as a service, one is software as a service, or rather one is platform as a service, second one, and the last one is software as a service. IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Now, this is a small example which we have discussed. Maybe if I would like to give you a more detailed example, let's consider this example. Now you want to visit, you are planning for holidays. December is coming. Many people try to go to holidays, right? We have some vacations or maybe we have some holidays, right? Year end. We try to or we plan some vacations. See, forget about the first partition. Let's consider the three partitions which I have highlighted. This partition is a different. This is on-premise. But if you consider these three, you want to go to maybe a small trip, maybe 5 days or 6 days a trip. You're planning for that trip. One is you have your own car. You will take care of your own transport. You will take care of your own routing. Routing in the sense your map. Where do you want to go? Luggage is also managed by you because you are owning your own transport. But all other components, like maybe booking, not ticket, maybe if you're booking for any accommodation, you have to manage that. Your food and entertainment, these are all managed at location where you're traveling, right? But the blue one are all managed by us or vice versa. Are the blue ones managed by the transport or the any agency via which you are travel agency via which you are going? These blue ones are all managed by travel agency. The one which are mentioned below, we have to manage it. Food, entertainment, ticket booking. We have to pay for additional ticket, right? We have to pay for insurance. We have to pay for visa. Right? So this is managed. The orange one is managed by us. The blue one is managed by some travel agency. So what we are managing infrastructure here. But whereas if it's a platform and if it's a software, if it's software means we can only visit that agency, travel agency or the travel agent will manage everything. We are just visiting. We will just sit whatever they try to say. Whichever location they will take to us, we will visit that location and will again come back. We are not the owner of anything. Completely everything is managed by travel agency. That is called as software as a service. We are just using their medium, right? We are just using their medium. Everything is managed by them. Now, this example might be a bit confusing. I'll make it more simpler. How many of you like pizza? How many of you like pizza? If you compare pizza with respect to cloud, if you're visiting a website, right, or if you're visiting any particular restaurant, neither the restaurant is owned by us, nor we are cooking our own pizza. Everything is managed by restaurant. That is called as software as a service. We are just using the service, right? We are just consuming that pizza. But what is if we order pizza online? Everything is cooked by the restaurant, but they are giving it to us. They deliver it to us, right? So once they deliver it to us, we are using our dining table. We are using our own. Maybe you have a cold drink, right? You will have your own cold drink. We are using our house where we consume our food. So that is called as platform. Why we are getting a platform? Where would you like to eat? I am eating at my own location, right? If you visit a restaurant, you are not the owner of that restaurant. But here, once the pizza is delivered, you are owner of your house, right? Whichever house you are into, you are owner of the house. So you are getting a platform there. Whereas if it is infrastructure, you purchase all the pizza components, but you are all cooking on your own. You are all cooking on your own. So there is a difference. See, this is traditional. Traditional and infrastructure as a service has certain similarities. Traditional means, see, ideally there are only three applications or three sub-components in cloud. One is infrastructure as a service, one is platform, and one is software. This was the earlier version. Earlier means everything was on premise. You have to manage everything on your own earlier. Same was with the data. If there is a data in this current world, if there is a data in any application, you have to manage that data on your own, on your local system. Nowadays, no one is managing everything on local system. They are pushing it to cloud. But whenever you push it to cloud, depending on which is the best fit, you can decide whether I want an infrastructure as a service, I want to use platform as a service, or I want to use software as a service. Software as a service means you are not the owner of any application. You just consume that application. You are a contributor or you are a consumer. You are a consumer of that application. The best example of software as a service is your any application, any social media network which you use. Now, is it a software as a service or is it a platform as a service? We have to think, right? Let's consider an example. I want you people to think if you're using Instagram, is it a software as a service or is it a platform as a service? Think, is Instagram SaaS or software as a service, or is it PaaS, platform as a service?
As a service.
Is it
I think
software as a service?
platform as a service.
Why platform and why software?
Like we are using
Different
our
thing
own
for
internet.
Okay,
we are creating an account, just we are using their services.
okay. Mm, okay. So if you consider the
I think it is a
now,
software as a service since we are not, involved in the architecture or the infrastructure part of it and just utilizing the services or features provided to us.
Mhm. But if
Mm.
you consider uh, Google One subscription, now Google One doesn't mean uh, assume that you are pushing all your data to Google Cloud. Android applications, people use Android, most of them. So if you're using Android, you want to push your photos to the Google One, the online Google Drive. What is that application? Is it a software as a service or is it a platform as a service? Then we will come back to Instagram. You want to move all your photos, it will be automatically backed up to Google OneDrive, right?
Platform as service, right?
How is it a platform? Because we are just pushing our data, right? We are not moving it.
It's a software. I think Google Drive is software because it is providing storage, uh, and what you're doing is you're just dumping whatever you have in your phone to storage. So it's providing storage opportunities, and it does not use, like, there is no use of the photos to them. Like in Instagram, you're posting, there's a interaction. You can do
Yes.
that, but in Google Drive, you're not posting, or there's no social media. You just need it to dump all your storage files and stuff which you cannot keep it in your cell phone anymore, or that's due to space restrictions.
So whatever photos you dump to Google, it's not managed by us, right? It is everything managed by Google.
Yeah.
So Google OneDrive, you can call it as a pure software as a service. Instagram, you may not call it as pure software as a service. It is kind of platform as a service, because we are getting that Instagram application from our local system. We can post any pic to it. We can write our own story. Somewhere we are using their platform, right? You can call that as a platform as a service. So that's the difference. Very minute differences are there. Sometimes people call Instagram as software as a service. Yes, there is nothing wrong in that. But if it's purely software as a service, you can click your online photo from the Instagram application. Also, you can click, you can have that camera access, right? But if you're using camera, you're using your local device. That means you're using a platform, right? So somewhere you are using your own platform. That is called as platform as a service. For Google OneDrive, you connect from any device, irrespective of any device. You just dump your data to it. You're not using any of their, neither you're downloading it in your local system, you're not using anything, right? So it can be purely software as a service. Again, let me ask one more question. Can anyone think of one infrastructure as a service application? Maybe any application which you are using in your laptop, desktop, mobile, anything which is related to infrastructure as a service. Which could be your infrastructure as a service? Which application?
Swiggy Instamart option.
No, Swiggy is also, Swiggy can be
Instamart.
Instamart. See, you are not the owner of that Instamart, right? It's pure software as a service only, neither platform. Because you're not uploading anything. You're just, whatever is available on that application, you try to add it to your card you purchase. So it's a software as a service. I want infrastructure as a service.
So I'm thinking in a way that from Swiggy Instamart, we will buy few products and in home, like we'll use our oven or electric gas and we cook and we eat. So
I'm not talking about components. I'm talking about, maybe you are considering it as a pizza example. That's good. Maybe you have related to that. But I want an application where you have a flexibility of infrastructure. You could be owner of that infrastructure. Very common. Your SMS, your camera application. That applications are on your local system, right? You cannot have your SMSs backed up. You can back up, but if it's a cloud only, you can back up. Your SMS can be sent from your local mobile only. I mean, your own mobile. You have to type that SMS. You are getting an infrastructure, right? You have to take a picture using camera. You have to take a video. That are all infrastructure as a service applications. Applications which are pre-installed and which may need not have internet connectivity. Without internet, you can use a camera app. Without internet, you can use SMS. You can have that network SIM, but still you can use an SMS, right? So predefined applications which are available, your file explorer, you want to explore your photos in your local system. It's an infrastructure as a service. I'm just talking about applications. We are not talking about any real-time example like pizza. Okay, Instamart, we purchase products. With that products, if you're manufacturing or if you're, having a finished product, that is infrastructure as a service. But I want an application which works like infrastructure. Camera, right? You can have your own settings. SMS, you can have your own settings. You can use your own language. So that is infrastructure. Pre-installed applications without internet connectivity are infrastructure as a service. So all the applications which you try to use are all infrastructure either, or all either platform or all either software. Most of them are software as a service only because we are accessing it directly. We are only consuming that application. We are not having a platform or infrastructure to have it our own expertise to them, have our own thoughts applied to them. Now, let's take the example of Zoom. We are all connected via Zoom. What could be the Zoom? Is it a software? Is it a platform? Or is it an infrastructure? The live recording which you are trying to see, is it a software? Is it a platform? Or is it
Platform as a service, as we are also using our like camera and using their software too.
Yes, it's a platform as a service. So one should easily able to guess somewhere we are using our own device. We are connected. Okay, it is connected to internet, but it is not purely internet, right? We are using our own device. We can have our own cameras connected. If it would have been software means if I'm trying to share a file, you can access that file from any part of the world. That is software as a service. So most of the applications are still software as a service, but there are certain applications where you use your own device, where you use your certain maybe authority of that device. That is called as platform as a service. Infrastructure as a services are very limited because that are not good to use always. Infrastructure as a services. So people go with platform or people go with software as a service. The best one is software because you are not managing anything. It is all managed by cloud provider only. You just have to access it. So these are the very basic examples. One who wants to learn cloud, they need to understand the difference between infrastructure, platform, and software. There will be minute differences, but you need to understand that. And here and there, if you go also, there is nothing wrong. See, not every time people will ask you whether this is a platform, whether this is software. But I want you people to understand, okay, this is how the platform looks. This is how the infrastructure looks. This is how purely software as a service looks. Now, let's try to understand why the importance of cloud is. Because, see, if you see the data or the volume of data in US dollars, the amount which is spent on a data management, $175 billion are spent for the management of data in 2025. We are in 25. So this $175 billion, these are all appropriate numbers. I mean, these are not exactly, approximately somewhere here and there. So this much amount of money is spent on management of data. Why? Because there is an increase in data. Every day there is that data is going on increasing, right? Earlier everything was all written. You have to bind all that, right? So if you have newspapers of last 1 year, people used to have that 1 year newspaper, they used to sell it. But if you want to check that last 1 year data on the newspaper which was printed, you can access that newspaper website. You can access an e-paper, right? So even last 1 year of data can be checked easily via cloud. It is not that easy from a physical newspaper. It's very difficult that you might get that 1 year paper unless you store it somewhere. So more the data, more would be the spending, more would be the, the need to maintain that. So there is a special word or there is a special proverb for it. Increase in data means increase in storage. Increase in storage means more devices. And increase in devices means more revenue. And if it's more revenue means more business. More business. And if it's more business, end of the day, it will be more spending. And end of the day, it is somewhere coming to cloud only. Because everything you dump to cloud, you can access it. Even if it's a 10-year back data also, you can easily access it, right? With certain commands or filter commands, you can filter that previous 10 years of data also, which is not that easy if you want to search it physically, right? You want to check minus 10 years of newspaper. I want to have that headline, which was printed few years back. You can take a physical newspaper, you can have that cutting of that newspaper. But if you have that data present in cloud, at any point of time, you can access it, right? So that's the benefit of it. More revenue, more business, more the use of cloud. So that's how the cloud works. So for last 35, 40 minutes, what we discussed, maybe more than 40 minutes, 45 minutes, what we discussed is importance of cloud. And I just want to make sure that you people understand why there is this infrastructure as a service, why there is this platform as a service, and why there is this software as a service. These three services will decide which application would you like to use in cloud and how do you connect it to reporting. Now, in order to give you a small idea, the most common service which we will be using is our storage service. Storage and ADF. ADF is a platform as a service. In ADF, you can create your own pipelines. You will get a platform where you can create your own logics, where you can dump data to your own location. So ADF is a platform as a service, whereas storage, sometimes it is software as a service, sometimes it is platform as a service. Now, how come is it both, right? If you only want to access the data, that means it is software as a service. You are not doing anything, right? You are just going and accessing the data. But in that storage also, you are maintaining, you are the owner of that server. You can create more databases. In that case, it is platform, because you have flexibility to increase the storage, to decrease the storage. If the storage is automatically increasing or decreasing, that is purely software as a service. But you are physically managing it. You are going back, you are giving a command that I want to have one more database, I want to have one more schema in that, that would be platform as a service. Right? So this is just a small example which we have considered with the technical point of view. Going further, all our discussions would be on these services only. Right? So just how cloud looks, the importance of cloud, that's what the primary aim of this session was. At the last, what I would recommend or what I would suggest is this course has these many technical topics which we would be covering. We would start with Azure infrastructure, which we already started, like platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. We will discuss in depth going further. What we would be additionally discussing, or the most important services which we would be covering, is Azure Data Factory, which will be in detail. Along with Azure Data Factory, there will be some dependent services like Azure Key Vaults or Service Principal and App Registration. Either of them, the name is same, they have different wordings to call. We will also go through SQL Server creation along with how do you maintain the database. We will go through storage services like ADLS, blob storages. And at the last, as a data analyst, you should know what is Databricks used for, how the Databricks infrastructure looks like. We would be going through what is cluster, what is Databricks, what is it used for, what is Synapse, and what all Power Automate or Logic apps are. I am just talking about Power Automate, not Power Apps. We are not covering any Power Platform application in detail. I will be covering Logic apps, which is always equal, it's almost equivalent to Power Automate. So what is the use of it? We will try to cover all the basics of Databricks, basics of Synapse, and basics of Power Automate. I mean, Power Automate is in Power Platform, Logic apps is in Azure. The services are different, but they have that same meaning. They have the same use case. So these are all the stack which we'll be covering. Now, the big question is, there is no mentioning of Fabric right here. There is no mentioning of Fabric. If I just go ahead, Data Factory is Fabric. Power BI, anyways, it's a part of Fabric. We have Data Warehouse. If I slowly go back, the explanation which I've given, Data Warehouse, a storage where you dump all your cleaned data. So it's a part of Fabric only, right? Whatever we will be discussing in Azure are all correlated to Fabric. So if I try to discuss ADF, ADF in Fabric is called as just Data Factory. ADF is in Azure. In Azure, it is called as ADF. In Fabric, it is called as Data Factory. So all the services which we would be covering in Azure, as it is that can be used in Fabric. So Fabric is nothing different. It is a combination of all the service in one single environment, and this Fabric itself is a service in Azure Cloud. Fabric itself is a standalone service in Azure Cloud. So I'll give you a brief idea how this Fabric looks like. Maybe I'll take an example also. And see, in order to simplify, if you use ADF, which is a separate service in cloud, for ADF, you may have to spend 1,000 rupees per month, assuming that you are spending 1,000 rupees per month. I only want to use Data Factory. But in case of Fabric, it is not that case. Whenever you want to use Fabric, you have to pay for complete set of Fabric. You may use only one service out of it, but you have to use all, you have to pay for complete set of Fabric. So complete set of Fabric includes all these services. If you are using only ADF for daily usage, which will give you a billing of 1,000 per month, same if you would like to use it from a data factory in Fabric, you are paying for all the services except you're not using only data. I mean, you're only using data factory, right? You're not using any other services. Fabric is a complete suite. It is not independent service. It is a complete suite. So even if you use one service in Fabric, you have to pay for complete set. So Fabric might cost you $10,000. There is an increase of 9K. There is a difference. Increase in the sense, there is this difference. So in order to differentiate, see, Fabric is only beneficial if you use all these services. All the services if you're using. And Fabric doesn't mean only it is used by data analyst. Data scientist people can also use it. Data engineering people can use it. All these services are standalone services in Azure. Azure, you have to pay for every service separately. Here in Fabric, you have to pay for all the services in one single set. Now, how costly the Fabric is, how cheaper the standalone services are, that we will discuss in next 5 minutes. But just to give you an idea who can take up this course, people who are already coming from Power BI, they can blindly go because it's already part of their session. But people who would like to take up this course, maybe they are new to this, they want to understand. The basic requirement is you should go with reporting knowledge if you have. If you have SQL or database knowledge, that would be added advantage. Anyways, for people who have joined with Power BI, we will be covering it once this session is done. So there is not a big gap. And who is already working in Excel or any BI tool, they can explore this or they can go through these sessions. It is only meant for people who know end-to-end Power BI. It is not meant for people who know basics of Power BI. If you know basics of Power BI and if you learn cloud, no, you have to learn end-to-end Power BI first. That is the most important part. Only then we would recommend you this course. Now, I was supposed to give you the explanation, right? The explanation or the difference between Fabric and standalone service. And Fabric itself is a part of cloud. As I've said, this Fabric itself is a part of cloud. So what I'll do, I'll just go to Azure portal. In Azure only, you will get Fabric. You see there is an icon of Fabric here. And there is an icon of Data Factory. Data Factory means this is separate service, which is used, which is part of Azure. So I'll just go to this Data Factory. I already have one Data Factory. I've just opened it. I'll just open it. And I frequently use this Data Factory. So what I will do is, see, in cloud also there is a hierarchy. For every service, there is a separate billing. So how do I check that billing? I'll go to my subscription. You know, you have to take a cloud. Now, what is subscription? We'll try to discuss it from next session. But let's try to understand how costly the cloud is, or how costly the Fabric is rather than the separate services. See, my billing is, my current month billing is 425, or it is 226 only. Forecast is 425. It might be 425 in future. And I'm using multiple services. You see so many services I'm using. 2 vaults, 2 databases, 1 storage account, 1 server, 1 factory. What all these services are, we will be discussing ahead, but just take an example that I'm using 4, 5, 6, 7 services. And my costing is somewhere per month. It might reach 400 to 500, not more than that, for all these services. And all these services are already present in Fabric. So if I go with Fabric, this is the Fabric, and let me create a new Fabric service. See, Fabric is also created via this. So what I will do is, I'll try to take my subscription. And see, there is a size option which is available here. Size means how vast and what all services will you use? I mean, will you use in that particular Fabric as a service or Fabric as a application? So I'll just click on, by default, it is F64. I'll just click on change size. The minimum size is F2. You have to pay $292 per month. If you use one service, if you use 10 services, whichever service would you like to use, you have to pay complete $292. Now you can have the difference. I'm using 7 services. For 7 services, I'm paying 500. And here, if I would like to use that same 7 services, not the other one, but still I have to pay for complete. And I'm going with the very least capacity. Most of them suggest go with F8 or F16 because these capacities are good to use. If I would like to use $292 and I'm converting it to Indian currency, I'll keep it to 80. It's somewhere 84, 85, but I'll keep it to 80. I have to pay 23,000 rupees. Whereas I'm paying only, if I go to this, my own subscription, I'm just paying 500. Maybe if I use it more, I have to pay 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Okay, accepted. But where is this comparison? Where is this comparison? Where is this comparison? There is a drastic difference there. So Fabric is good, but Fabric is not the best. At certain point of time, people might feel that Fabric is costlier. Okay, what we will be learning in Azure, we will see it in Fabric. For people who would be joining with this Fabric, I mean, who already joined with Power BI, they already have this Fabric access. That trial is already activated. You can use that trial. We can continue with that Fabric trial. Who will be joining with this ADF sessions, for them also, we will be giving that Fabric access. But for Azure portal, how to access it, how to activate it, there are different steps. So that we will discuss. Fabric, we are not charging you from anything apart from the course fees. Neither we would have an additional payment added to it. So ideally, Fabric is costlier, but we are giving you that trial version. Whereas if you want to use Azure, you will get some free credits from Azure. How to activate it, how to start it, that's a different process. So that we will discuss in next, after maybe 2 or 3 sessions, not now. So just to give you a comparison, which service is good to go, which service is not that efficient. Fabric is good to use, but it is way more costlier. So we have to take that costing part also into effect. At certain point of time, maybe in future, Fabric would become cheaper, right? As you people said that cloud is costlier if you go with standalone memory cards or hard disk, it is easier, right? But cloud is now more cheaper as compared to -5 or -10 years. The same way Fabric would get cheaper, but it would take some time. And there are certain limitations in Fabric. Fabric UI is not that great. You can access that Fabric from the Power BI portal only, right? Because in the Power BI service only, they have integrated this Fabric. So if I go to Power BI, I'll give you a small difference also. What is the user interface of this Fabric? So if I go to Power BI, in the leftmost corner, people who already have an access for them. In the leftmost corner, you have an option called as Fabric. You just have to click on Fabric. This is your Fabric environment. So in see, for creating any services in Fabric also, you need to have a workspace if you're using Fabric. So if I would like to create a data factory pipeline, I want to create a new data factory pipeline. So you have options, right? So many services are there. So many, I mean, so many in the sense, are these the only services? No. You have to go to your workspace. Maybe you can go to your workspace, whichever workspace you have. Just go to your workspace, just click on new item. It will display all the options which are coming. So what I would like to do is I would like to create a new data factory pipe. I'm creating a new pipeline. See, let's not consider what is pipeline. Do not think about that. But if you see the user interface here in the Fabric, and I'll show you the same user interface in the data factory of Azure service. This is the user interface. And I have to click on pipeline activity. It will give me some activity, and see, this is the user interface. You have to check where the other activities are. Activity means what? You have to write certain logic in this activity. But I'll use the same ADF or Azure Data Factory from the cloud, from the Azure portal. I'll go to the Data Factory. Let's see the UI, user interface. I'll just open it. Now both are based out of cloud because Fabric is also part of cloud, end of the day. But this is all separate set. Whereas Data Factory, these are individual services available directly from a cloud. So if I go to this, see, you have all the options clearly mentioned. The user interface is very clean here. And if I go to author tab, if I click on new pipeline, you can see all the activities are automatically mentioned here. You can expand on. You have an option expand on. The user interface is very clean. You can easily understand what am I trying to do. But here the user interface is very cluttered. It is very difficult to understand the user interface. Now, difficult in the sense, if you use this Fabric on day-to-day basis, you will get used to it. But one who wants to learn Data Factory from Fabric and one who wants to learn Data Factory from Azure, I would always suggest to learn from Azure because it's easy to understand and very quick to grab up. The same, if you understand the same, if you learn from Fabric, it will take maybe few more days to understand because the user interface is not that good and it is costlier. The most important part, which is considered in current world, is the costing. Accepted, everything is moving to cloud, but even costing matters, right? Even costing matters. If it's too, see, if Azure costing was somewhere around 5,000 or 6,000 and the Fabric costing was somewhere around 8,000, we could have gone with Fabric purely. But if you see the price difference, it is almost into 20 times, into 20, which is not good, right? Which is not that good. That's the reason people always go with standalone service unless they want to use full flexibility of a Fabric. If you're using full end-to-end Fabric, then you can blindly go with Fabric. Right? So a basic idea I've given you, we would be learning Azure, we would be learning Fabric together. It is not that we would be neglecting Fabric. No. Fabric is a part of this session. Because Fabric is part and parcel of PowerBI service, you will get that Fabric trial license and you can use it for your practice purpose. Okay, so that's all I had for this session. Anyone, any questions, or I'm open for questions for now. No questions?
Yeah.
So
I have one question.
Is any companies are using Fabric now in the market?
Companies do use. They consume Fabric for certain amount of time. See, I'll tell you the market reality. Fabric is not that efficient product. It would take some time to again evolve. I have been trying to say this from the start of introduction. From the introduction of Fabric in 23 when they launched. Till today, it has evolved, it has developed a lot, but it is still not a stable product. It's still not the best. Companies use it. They use it for 3 months. They use it for 6 months. They feel that this is not giving us the best result. They'll again switch to the standalone services in Azure. So they're not companies are not neglecting Fabric, but at some point of time, you should also get an exposure to Fabric. So that's the reason we would learn Fabric, but we would again learn it via independent services, and then we'll switch to the Fabric. So if I explain anything in the Azure Data Factory, same you can do it here. There is nothing different. The only UI is different. You have to explore that options. So that exploring part, how to explore it, that we will discuss.
So,
Companies are using Fabric.
what I understood is whenever you are teaching about ADF, the same thing we can parallelly expose on the Fabric also, right?
Yes, same thing.
Ritesh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, like we got 60 days trial period for Power BI service. So, in this course, we'll got a similar kind of trial period for ADF also, or we'll get a full-time license or a 1 year license.
Same license is already activated for Fabric. You can parallelly use it. We will cover Fabric in 1 month. You have that time limit.
And how about the standalone service ADF?
Okay, ADF, the day when you activate, right, the Azure portal. So in order to activate, there is a background to it. Let's not discuss it today, but the day when you activate, you will get some 11,000 to 13,000 Indian rupees in credits, which are free for 30 days. After 30 days, you have to pay from your pocket. So that 30 days you can utilize. I would not say to start it in this week only. From next week, I would recommend you to start so that we are at a stage you can directly activate that and you can start practicing.
Okay.
I guess
One more. Hello.
Yeah, Madhu, go ahead.
Yeah. One question. That in Fabric, I can see that F2, F8, F6. This is for the resource logins, or what exactly that indicates?
It indicates all the structure of a Fabric, number of resources who will log in, the amount of storage that Fabric account can take, the amount of services that Fabric account can consume parallelly, more the number of SKUs. SKU means what? That F2, F4, these are SKUs. So I'll again go back. Maybe I can explain it more detailed if I give you an idea here. So if I go back, I will have to select the correct subscription. Where is this? So F2 means, it doesn't mean that in F2 you cannot have 100 users. You can have, but 100 users, if they're parallelly accessing the data, it would be way much slower. And the capacity of the data would be less. If you go with F32, same users can be there, but the more flexibility you will get, F16, F32. And if you go with any end-to-end project, people always go with F32 or more than that. Now, earlier it was until F512 only. Now there are new introductions 1204 and 2048. And you see how costlier they are. I'm not saying these are not good. These are, Fabric is a very good service. Maybe once you will get some new updates in next few years, it would be more stable product, but they should always focus on the costing. Costing is not that efficient. It's too much costlier, right? Too much.
Okay.
Let's not.
It's
also costly.
Cost per month. Okay, got it.
And this is estimate. This is estimate. It is not fixed. This is the estimate.
I can say this is the combination of the storage, capacity,
logins, storage, services, everything.
Okay, Rich.
And all the services. You use only one service, you use all the service. Minimum you have to pay.
Yeah, minimum what is there
ahead,
that I need to pay. Yes, I got it.
Any other questions?
Right. Thanks.
For Ritesh, this side Fatima.
Hey,
So for Power BI and for Fabric, right? Like we have to take two different capacity, or like with one capacity, like we can manage it.
Okay, so the email IDs which will be given to you, it has a combination of all three licenses. It has a combination of Fabric license. Maybe I'll show it. Right. So if I go to any specific workspace, I have so many workspaces. Let me open that. So I'll go to a specific workspace, and here you have an option called as workspace settings. See, with the KSR email ID, which we would be sharing, with that email ID, you will get three accesses. User level, we give you free account, which will give you full authority to access it. Now, let this load. It is taking some time. Why is it taking? Yeah. So you will be given access to Pro. You will be given access to Premium per user, and you will be given access to Trial Fabric license. So you can use either of the license as per your usage. If you're going with Power BI, use these two. If you're going with Fabric, I would go with this option. These are
Okay.
paid licenses which you have to use it once your trial gets completed. So you will have all three licenses, Power BI service also with Pro and Premium, as well as Fabric licenses.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Here about the F2 or everything. Usually in Power BI we have PPU or P Pro or Premium, right? So what is the F2 is a similar kind of license? Are you saying that?
F2 is for Fabric. It is not for Power BI. It is purely for Fabric. It is purely for resources used for Fabric, like data engineering resources, data analytics, data sciences resources, data factories, storage services. All these are related to F2s, or I mean SKUs. SKU in the sense whatever license you are considering. Power BI licensing is slightly different. It is Pro or Premium per user. If see Pro or Premium means how much big report you can publish to Workspace. That depends with Pro and Premium. You have that report refresh number of options also varies, right? In Pro 8, in Premium 48. So that difference is there. But in case of Fabric, these licenses are only for Fabric, not for Power. These are only focused for Fabric. All the services used within the Fabric. You want to use any service in Fabric, you have this license. With Premium per user, you cannot create any pipeline or nothing. You have to have that trial license or Fabric capacity license.
Ritesh, like in this course, I mean, by now, like we'll be learning this Azure, ADF, and Fabric, right?
Yes, yes.
ADF, and later I'll learn, after Jan, I'll learn SQL. With this, can I
Correct.
attempt DP 600? Is it possible? Because I might get a free voucher.
Maybe that, Shri, I guess we have to discuss it, that how long will you get that extended validity of that certificate? Maybe you can give it until January or February. If you're getting that way, yeah, we can discuss one-on-one on that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hi, Ritesh.
Okay, good.
Yeah, actually, is learning ADF plus Fabric is alone enough to crack a DP 600 exam?
Okay, so if you are going with Fabric fundamentals, that DP 600 is more specific to Fabric and its data analytics associate, right? If I directly mention DP 600, it's Fabric Analytics Engineer Associate.
Okay.
What I would say, if you know in depth of all the services which we would be covering, it's sufficient. But you have to put some additional effort because it includes questions with respect to certain maybe some engineering aspects as well. It is sufficient. I'll not say it is not that, but you have to additionally put some effort. For this, what we would be covering, I can suggest you AZ 900 also as your fundamental certificate as well. Right? If you're searching for AZ 900 as your Microsoft fundamental, even this is good. Or else, anyways, we have this exam topic, right? This website.
Okay.
So whichever Microsoft certifications are available, we can easily check
Actually,
from
my
here.
company is expecting me to do Fabric certification.
Hmm.
I'm willing to know what kind of skills are required to crack this exam.
Got you. Implementing analytics solutions using Microsoft Fabric. Yes, you can go through it. DP 900 and AZ 900 are almost similar as your data fundamentals.
Okay, we should go with the DP 600.
Yeah, DP 600, DP 900, AZ 900, you can target.
Okay. So is this course enough to crack this exam?
I have said course is enough, but you have to put some additional effort for DP 600 because it includes some questions which are coming out of that Fabric environment, which we may not use it on frequent basis, like
Okay.
some data science questions. Data science, in the sense, it will not have questions with models. It will have that where do we use that data science application or data science as a service in Fabric. So how do you integrate it? That kind of one or two questions might come. So that additional effort is required. I'll
Okay.
share you the dumps. People who have attended Power BI have shared them enough dumps for that PL 300, right? But here we would be definitely sharing you the dumps. And even this website is very good. Exams topic, you can easily access this website. You'll get good amount of questions also.
Yeah, the problem is in exam topics, we have to pay, I guess. So can you share the dumps if you have for DP 600?
Yeah, sure.
I'll take
I would.
later only, but just.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Anyways, we have. Yeah,
Sorry
go
for
ahead.
interrupting. Are we doing any end-to-end project using Fabrics, Ritesh? Just you're covering topics.
Yeah. So see how it goes. For Power BI batch, there are parallelly hackathons going on. Same way, by the time we complete, by the time we end up, maybe in the second half of December, second half in the sense, maybe second week, end of second week, by the time we complete, there will be some hackathons, there will be some end-to-end sessions conducted by KSR. Parallelly, we would be also taking that session. So there would be a part of that inclusion is there. We will be covering that part. I'm not sure how many of you are following KSR frequently. For every batch, we have some hackathons, we have some end-to-end sessions also. So that practice would anyways there. We would be covering that end-to-end project.
So you mean to say like who have learned Power BI at KSR, those are only can do, right?
No. See, to be fair, if it's a project only end-to-end in ADF, we also include Power BI, right? This course is developed for people who already know Power BI, accepted. But end goal is we are creating our reports in Power BI as well. So if you're attending these sessions and at the end of the day, there would be some end-to-end project sessions additionally, it doesn't mean that we are not allowing the who haven't gone through Power BI sessions, we're not allowing them. No. We assume that you already know Power BI. So whatever is covered, we will have that end-to-end project, including ADF, including Power BI. That's how it is. So there will be Power BI inclusion. You have to understand how Power BI works. We will suggest at certain point of time that this is how it works. This is the business requirement. This is what we are looking out for. Any other questions? Yep, Sanjay. I guess you have unmuted yourself.
Yes, sir. Is there any post-training assistance, sir? If I strike any project-related queries, anything?
Okay, so see, from KSR, what you get is you get some additional sessions like LinkedIn preparation, resume preparation. Resume would be prepared from us. Assistance in the sense we are not a company. We don't take our employees and we push it to them. We take some amount or we push it to certain companies. No, that is not the way. Every person has to go through certain interview process. Yeah, we would suggest you there would be some non-technical sessions like placement cell placement. I mean the cell placement cell training sessions are there, right? How the market is there, how to improve yourself. So that additional support would be there. Extra additional support, yeah, for sure you'll be there. Resume would be prepared from us. How your resume should look like. There would be some domain sessions. Now, people who are going through Power BI, they already know how domain sessions are. So frequent non-technical sessions are conducted, and that too with this specific month, November and December, we have that frequent connects.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions? No. It's 9:30. If you still have questions, we still have 4 more days to go. You can attend these next 4 sessions. Also, it would be more functional only. We'll not go through practical, more functional, understand the cloud, understand the infrastructure of a cloud. How does it look? How services are created? Then we will, maybe I would suggest you how to start with creation of the Azure account or Azure subscription. Okay, so good what we discussed today. Still questions, maybe you can feel free to ask, write it down, and maybe in next sessions, feel free to ask. Yeah, thank you everyone. Have a very good day ahead and let's connect back tomorrow.